Is there a standard for dynamic range? Wow, that's an interesting question. And it comes from Jorgen from Sweden. Jorgen writes, the loudness war has ruined many recordings with bad dynamics. Yes, it has. My question is, what's the perfect dynamic range for music and for best sound quality? Is it possible to get a standard for music similar to the THX standard for movies? I'm going to say no, because music is so varied that I don't know that you could effectively have a standard. Better minds than mine could certainly come up with something, I would guess, but I don't think I saw a standard, but I could envision how a standard might work. I would, though, want to touch on this very subject because I think it's a good one that he's brought up, and it's something that is as pervasive as the flu, and we tend to start accepting it as this phenomena called the loudness wars. And for those of you unfamiliar with loudness wars, they started years and years ago in radio, at least when I was in radio. There was a phenomena where, the channels surfing, when you were in your car or at home and you're scanning through the FM dial, you would typically, stop on the loudest station. And it just people noticed, well, that's what people do. So if you were the loudest station, so let's say there were 5 rock and roll stations and you were in the middle of Los Angeles and you started, and just kind of scanning. This is before you had the auto scan. So you just kind of were turning the dial and you'd land on one, and there was, Stairway to Heaven, loud as hell. You'd stay on that station. Just mentally, you'd do that. And there probably was a lot of truth to that. So how did they do that? Because all radio stations have standards to how loud they can be. And they can all be only the same loudness. You can be less, but you can't be more. You can't overmodulate, in other words. So it's not the way it works. So everybody has to be the same loudness. So how did they get around that? Well, what they did is they went to compression. Because of everything, if there are no soft points in a song, then everything by its very nature is loud, right? They had these horrible compressors. Their Orban was one that I just detested. It was a 3-band compressor, and it separately compressed the treble area, the mid-range, and the bass all at the same time. 3 compressors that if the music was low, it would turn the volume up to bring it up, and if it was high, it would bring it down, so that you had this terrible, just loud, with no dynamics. And music is all about dynamics. Most composers, certainly in classical music and in jazz, use dynamics as a means of creating tension and release. If you've ever thought about it, music is, when it brings emotions out in us, which is what we love it to do. Sometimes it's just, the emotion is a foot tap, and like, yeah, let's go, let's clap, let's go. But many times, when you're listening to really well done music, Mozart's a master at this, of listening to something, having tension build up, and then this release, this resolve, and almost makes you want to cry. Like a good novel, right? How does that happen? I mean, you can see how words, we have, a setup in a novel, and then we have tension building, and then, this great expose, and it's like, whoa, I didn't know that, I didn't see that one coming, or, he got his love, and then, oh, you're crying because you related to the subject. How do you do that in music? Happens all the time. Just a series of notes can make us cry or laugh. I mean, that's amazing. And we do that by a combination of dynamics and tension building. So tension's usually in music is in the form of something that's a little grating, like da da da. I can't sing, but like kind of off beat, and then da da Well, forgive me, but you get the idea. Off, 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 resolve. Ah, I was tense because it was just a little bit off, and there I go. And, or, like loud and then soft, soft and sweet, building to loud and garish. But if it's all the same level, you lose all of that. You lose the emotional opportunities that music so lovingly can give to us. So it kind of started with FM radio, and then it went to records. For the same reason, record producers started realizing that the louder the songs, if they couldn't trust the radio stations to blast us, they would take their music and do the same thing. So they just compressed the crap out of it. And people at home, like, well, what if I tuned to the station or I turned on a thing and the music was really low? Well, I might just turn away. Yep, you might just do that. But you can't succeed so well over the long term by trying to appeal to the masses. That's just wrong-headed. We need to appeal to groups of people, to smaller groups of people. They could be big, but trying to make everybody happy winds up making nobody happy. And just like you see in movies today, these terrible scripts with lots of action and bang, bada, boom, 2 months later you've forgotten the movie even existed. There's no good story, there's no good dynamics, there's no good, it just doesn't engage you. We don't learn anything. It's, the resolutions are awful. It's like, it's a thing, and I don't think it's a thing today. I think that thing has been going on forever. Just today, it's about dynamics. And so I think the only way we can really battle that is by our musical choices. Choose things that have dynamics, that honor dynamics. And people like us are working hard behind the scenes with our studio upstairs, with our monthly releases of music. Hasn't started yet, but it will. They will have dynamics. And hopefully the word will spread like, wow, that really sounds good. It draws me more into the music. That's what we're looking for. We'll get there. Just keep asking those great questions, and we'll keep spreading the word. Dynamics are good. Music and its emotional attachment is good. Okay, bye.